In this session you're about to watch, Kevin and I dive into one of our most frequently asked questions, which is how do you increase your video play rate? We address everything from subject lines to structuring your email well to drive a play, to that important video thumbnail, as well as tactics for making sure that people stay engaged through the length of your video to hear all of that important content. I hope you enjoy this session.
Well, good morning. Good morning. I see the numbers are already skyrocketing and we are so excited, everybody. We have a really good number of registrants. We're going to have a lot of people show up today. Alicia and I are already feeling the excitement. We're also feeling the excitement because we've got amazing other people from Bombbomb that are helping us today. So I'll introduce them in just a second to let you know what's going on. But we're going to give it just a minute. We're already at 300 people, which is great. But let me do the housekeeping stuff. And the first thing I'm going to say is a little bit new housekeeping. This is a meaty webinar. So if you've got seatbelts on your office chairs, click them in place because we're going to fly through a lot of stuff today. So if you're a note taker, get your notepad up, however you like to engage with this, make sure you've got it because Alicia has done an awesome job preparing a bunch of great content for this. So real quick introductions. My name is Kevin Andrews. You can see I'm the client enablement manager on the customer success side of our house. And we've got Alicia, as always, with us. How are you this morning, Alicia?
I am great, Kevin. I'm so excited. You know, we've done versions of this before. We've done pieces of this before, but from start to finish, we've never done a session like this. And I'm so excited.
It's one of those ones when the idea came up, we were kind of like, how have we not done this? I was like, there's no way we haven't done this, right?
Really?
Well, sure enough, we haven't. So this is awesome. As always, we want you guys to engage with us. Part of these webinars that are so important to us is being able to have communication and have conversations with you. So those of you that might be new to Zoom, look at that bottom panel on your Zoom window. There's two options that I want to point out to you. One is the chat option where you can come in and chat to everybody. So if you're in here, throw a chat in, throw where you're from, throw how you're feeling this morning, throw a motivational quote. I don't care. Put something in there. Let's get some conversation stuff going just to have some fun with that. One thing with the chat, make sure that there's a little blue bar right above where you type your chat message. Make sure you select everyone on that. I think it automatically goes to hosts and panelists. Yep. So only hosts and panelists will see it. Make sure you go to everyone so everybody can see it.
Chat is disabled. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, well, we'll see if we can do that. Michelle, maybe while we're talking, if you want to hop in and see if we can, I was wondering, I was like, it's real quiet on chat.
I know. Normally we've got everyone jumping in saying hi.
All right. So Michelle, who is our wonderful, she's on all of these webinars helping us out. She'll take a look at that and she'll let us know if we're able to figure that out and adjust that on the fly here. But yeah, we'll look at that. So here's the other option that will be really important if chat is disabled this whole time is our Q&A function. This is really important because this is what allows us to kind of focus on specific questions. Once chat gets rolling, it gets really busy, especially when we've got 535 people like we have right this second in here, and more people are going to keep popping in. So use Q&A if you've got a really specific question about something that we're talking about so that we don't miss it. We always try to leave as much time for Q&A as we can throughout, and we'll answer these throughout as well. But make sure you throw some stuff in Q&A just so that we can make sure we're not missing those things, and we will definitely keep you up to date with the chat stuff. So thank you all for letting us know that in the Q&A.
And as always, I see it in the Q&A. It's usually in the chat. Yes, this session is being recorded. We will send you a copy of the recording. And I am sure that you're probably going to want to go back and reference this one for sure. So, yeah.
All right. Whew. Do we want to take a breath before we jump into this?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
I'm excited. The cool thing about this is it's always fun when we learn new things as we're studying and preparing for stuff like this to work with you guys. So I love that. So Alicia, why don't you jump into this kind of intro, all the things that we're going to cover on this webinar today?
Yeah. So, you know, what's fun about today is that we're really going to start at the beginning and go all the way to the bottom of your email. So we're going to start with what you should be thinking about before you even record. We're going to talk about subject lines. We're going to talk about the anatomy of a good video email. And then we're going to talk about the actual video itself, how to use that thumbnail to get played and how to keep your people engaged. Of course, the topic today is why didn't they play my video? Kevin, we hear this all the time, right?
Well, and we experience it all the time too, right? Like,
Yep.
oh, I spent this time, I put together this great thing. What the heck happened? It's a big question.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, this is what we do, right? We're a video company, and so getting people to actually play your videos is really important. But there's more to just recording a video, and that's really what we're going to dive into. And the first part of this is really this question: how do I get more people to play my videos? Why didn't they play my video? This is kind of the wrong question, and so we have to start at the very beginning. Let's get back to the basics. And so before you even record a video, you've really got to make sure that you're asking the right questions. And that first question is, who is this actually even for? We've talked about database segmenting quite a bit here and there. For those of you that don't know what database segmenting is, this is basically, rather than taking every contact that you have and loading them into your CRM and sending everything to the same people, it's making sure that your list is a little bit more segmented. For example, if you're a lender, being able to know which people are in maybe the end of their home buying experiences, maybe looking to, downsize or refinance and, purchase a smaller condo and get rid of their big house, or first-time home buyers. That's really relevant information. You want to make sure that you're sending to the right people at the right time. And this is really, really important for both, number one, deliverability. And then the second is the relevance of content. So let's talk about deliverability. You're going to hear us reference this a few times throughout this session. And this is essentially the idea of getting your stuff delivered into the inbox, right? This is what we do as a company, okay? We're a video email company. You create a video. We help, get it delivered to their inbox or their text messages. But there's only so much that we can do on our end, right? We're only responsible for what we can do on our end. And your deliverability score out there in the internet has a lot to do with whether you get placed in the inbox or whether they put you into a spam folder or how high in the inbox they place you in all of this. And so you have to take a certain amount of responsibility for making sure that you're sending to the right people. And go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to say a big part of this that I've learned a lot from our deliverability experts, and Connor is one of the ones who really helps us on our team, is that this is a reputation, right? This is something that's built up over time. It's not, how is this email going to be delivered? It's really something that you build up, and guess what? It carries with you from email to email to email. So you as a person build this whole reputation of how accurate, how wanted are my emails that are being sent out. Now, that doesn't mean we cannot influence it. We 100% influence it. So every email is important, but one really bad email, one really good email does not change everything for the good or for the bad. We have to make sure that we're building this reputation over time. So we're really, really, just something to keep in mind as we're talking through this. It's not just a one-off, two-off. It is something you have to keep in mind with each email that you are sending out.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat here. I was trying to figure, Michelle asked me if I could enable it, and I don't see an option here. We might have to go without chat today, but we'll keep going.
Hey, the beauty of technology. These hiccups always happen,
here
right?
We are.
I'll keep looking around as a host too to see if there's anything I can do.
I think the other really important thing that's important to know about deliverability is that if a large number of people aren't opening your emails and they're not clicking through and they're not engaging, it affects your deliverability score. Okay. So this is why this is important, about before you even craft the video and email, deciding who it's for. And I have a really great personal story here. And this is, I'm out in front of realtors all the time, lenders, and a lot of people add me to their CRM. And so a lot of realtors, they get my contact, we've engaged back and forth, and they just add me to their CRM as a default. So now I have realtors from all over the US and Canada that send me information about just listings or client appreciation events. Well, if I don't live in Toronto, Canada, And I know that you've just added me to your CRM as default. Eventually, those emails that are coming from an agent in Toronto, Canada, to inviting me to their events, inviting me to open houses, telling me about the houses that they just listed, I'm not opening those because they're not relevant to me at all, right? This deliverability piece is important for both like the where you get placed and the relevance. And so once I'm not opening those, it actually affects your deliverability score. So segmenting your database is really, really important. Now, that's not to say a realtor that's added me to their CRM, if they're going to send out a happy, 4th of July video, send that to me. Include me in that send to everyone, because I don't mind being told happy 4th of July. That's relevant, but it's not relevant to invite me to a local event, if that makes sense. Okay. So you've got to ask that question, like the who is it for first. And then the second question that you need to ask before you record your video is, why would they even play it? Our friend Lauren Bailey taught us this acronym, right? The SWIFT. So what's in it for them, right? What are they going to get out of this? And so human-centered, we've talked a lot about that. Human-centered is about communicating with your humanity, but also recognizing that there's a human on the other side of that conversation. So the human-centered piece, the first part is kind of easy because the video, you're automatically being a little more human-centered, but you got to remember that there's another person on the other side of this video. And so, focusing on who they are and what kind of value they're going to find is the way you set yourself up for success here. So you want to make sure that you're being human-centered, you're focused on what kind of value they have. And then just, to call back to last week, be a trusted advisor, right? This is one of the best things you can be doing in your marketing, is solving problems for your clients, because that's really relevant. That's relevant to them. That's something that's in it for them. A great example. It's been really hot in a lot of places, right? In a lot of places. And so maybe you are in real estate or in lending or in insurance, and you have a great list of referral partners. Well, you can solve a problem for your clients by sending a video and saying, I know it's been really hot. If your AC is anything like mine, it's been struggling to keep up. Maybe it's time to get your AC serviced or get your filters changed. If you need a referral to an HVAC person, I've got a list of people that I trust that, I would feel comfortable sending into your home. Let me know if I can help you get your unit serviced. Right?
Yeah, this is just such a good reference, because how often do we actually say, this is the whole human-centered idea we've been talking about for a year now, is the thinking about the other person. How can we bring value to them? So often in so many of our industries, I've been in real estate, I've been in sales, I've been in a lot of the front lines of those jobs. The why for this email is because I need to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I need to check the box off and say that it's done. And I'm not thinking about, what does the recipient need this? Why do they need this? It's no, because my coach told me I need to be in front of my clients this month. So here's my email so that I can say I did that.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a little mind shift change, but it's a big one and it's an important one. And so if you're curious, if you didn't make it to our Trusted Advisor webinar last month, go to bombbomb.com/webinars and you'll see it right near the top. It'll be one of the top ones since we just did it last month. Yeah. We talk about a lot of these things more in depth, and it's just a really great way to consider, what value do I continue to bring to my client base? And then how do I be specific with that segmentation so that the value hits each person the way that it's supposed to?
Yeah. And we were going to throw the Trusted Advisor webinar link in the chat, but we still don't have chat yet. So bear with us. We're working on it. We will send it out in the resources with the recording, though, if we don't get chat working. Okay. All right. So we talked about before you even record. Okay. So now moving on to the next step that you have to your advantage to getting people to actually open your email and play your videos. And that is the very first thing they see when you send an email. And that is subject lines. Okay. The good, bad, and the ugly. Subject lines are, you can find endless articles on subject lines. And so I've put together kind of the Bible of subject lines. All right. But before I give you your Bible of subject lines, your best practices, I want to share with you some subject lines. So I reached out to the Bombbomb team and I said, all right, guys, let's share some subject lines, good ones, bad ones. I don't care. I want to see them all. And so I put together a few of them. So this one, they forgot to remove their text. We use this kind of text all the time, the lorem ipsum dolor, whatever, all that stuff. We use it as a fill-in, as a placeholder. Well, I forgot to remove the placeholder there. That was a fun
That feels
one.
personal to me when I read it. That feels very specific.
Right, real specific. So this one is actually kind of cool because this one really worked. And so this was one of our sales guys. His name is Chris Anthony. And this totally caught his attention because they used his last name and they had some information about the Anthony family name. So really great subject line, short to the point. It caught his attention and it was personal to him. Someone else may not necessarily reference that one or catch that one. Sorry, there we go. This is another one. CRM forgot to put in the company name. So company name, activate your profile, real personal on that one.
I feel like this is a theme in so many of the really bad ones we see. I mean, this one you're pulling up right now is a perfect example as well. Just how we don't take the time to double check what's happening, right?
Totally.
We get so quick into just click and send, click and send, click and send. The body of this email I've actually seen, because we shared it within our company as well, is just brutal. There's all of these different sections that they're supposed to fill in to bring that personalization, and none of them are done. So not only did this not go from not a personal experience, this went to a really, really bad experience quickly. Because we didn't take that second to think through it.
To just even double check it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like if you have a marketing automation set up, I hope that you can trust your marketing automation, but you really should double check before. Ooh, chat's working.
We got chat. Hooray!
Even with a marketing automation, you should be having a double check send that comes to you first to make sure that something like that doesn't happen. All right, let's see what else we got here. Hey, Steve, don't worry. It's not about an extended warranty. This was another really good one that Steve actually worked because it caught his attention, right? The whole goal of your subject line is to break out of the noise of all of this other noise in the inbox and actually catch their attention. So this worked. It was personal. It was unique. It was funny. Don't worry. It's not about an extended warranty. This is another good one. Right? This was a cold prospecting email. But you know, they've got an emoji in there. It was kind of clever. You're missing sales under your nose. It's got the first name in that inbox preview there right away. So great way to catch attention. Okay. So this is one that came to me. Was a marketing email from a company that sends me weekly emails. And this subject line, thank you for the reaction you had. I actually replied to them and I said, hey guys, I know that coming up with clever subject lines is tough. I'm in marketing and I know what it's like to get people mad. I'm not mad. I just want you to know that I think that subject line was really inappropriate and could be triggering to people.
Especially with what's going on in the world right now, right? You have to be aware of that your experience and what you're going through is not everybody's. Totally. And they're going to all take these in different ways.
And it was meant to be like the body of the email is like, I'm going to kill Sharon because he's been keeping this deal from us, like that type of thing. Not funny, right? So this is funny because sending a no reply email. So this was supposed to be like part of the form or the sequence or whatever, but also this message was to Elia and it said, good morning, Julia. So personal, but wrong person.
Nailed it. I've had that happen one time where it accidentally put like the company name in instead of my first name. So it's like, hello, Bombbomb. Hope you're having a great day.
Yep, exactly.
Like, that doesn't feel very personal, right?
So this is actually the last one. This was another good one. This one worked. I believe, I'm trying to remember who it was. Someone in our team sent us this. They knew who the company was, Vitale. So that was personal to them, right? It made sense. Quick favor regarding Vitale. So that was another really good one. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the subject lines best practices. Okay. Your very first best practice for the subject lines is that you got to personalize. Okay. According to the data, readers are 26% more likely to open an email with personalized subject lines. Now, you saw in our bad subject lines examples that sometimes your CRM can fill in a first name or a company name, and that's great. It can be really, really effective to catch someone's attention.
Mhm.
However, you want to make sure that it's actually personalized and it doesn't say insert first name, okay?
One little tip I'll throw in here that I've learned from doing sales, and I don't know if you experience this as well, Alicia, is don't put in a person's full name. If it says, hey, Kevin Andrews, that feels so quick, like a CRM just threw my name in, versus, hey, Kevin, or hey, Alicia, right? Yep. Those kind of things are just really simple things that are not bad to try and do. You're still personalizing it, but that's one thing I have found. I personally respond way more if it's just my first name than if it's my full name.
Yep. Okay, the second tip in your subject line Bible is use the word video. Okay. I'm going to give you our data. We have our own data on video. After all these, I'll show you what that does. But this came from the research that I did. Okay. When marketers use the word video in a subject line, the open rates rose from 7% to 13%. So that is very similar to our data. Okay. Using the word video in the subject line gives you a little bit of a lift in the open rate, but it's not a massive lift. Okay. The real win, though, is in that click-through rate. Them clicking on the video or clicking on your links. In fact, using the word video in the subject line statistically is a 300% increase in click rate. So that's the outside data on using video in the subject line. So really, really effective. Kristen, I am going to give you some examples with video in the subject line, and I'm going to give you some more examples as well with some of these subject lines. Okay.
One quick point as well on this that I just think is really good, and we can jump into the subject line, the 7-word part that you just pulled up there, Alicia, as well. But I think it's also really good. So often we think of metrics as like our wins, right? Like, oh, I got email opens. That's a win. That means that was a successful email. When ultimately somebody opening our emails does not necessarily create the relationship, create the conversation, create those next steps that are needed to build business, right? How often do you send one email and they're like, I'll take it? Never, right? You never have this one thing that all of a sudden sells a product or gets them to work with you. So I love this deeper conversation, and we're going to keep going through this journey into an email of the email open is not the win. That's a step in the right direction. These deeper things, these click-through rates, these CTOs, these are the things we really want to start analyzing as, is this successful or not?
Yeah. I'm going to clarify that for Larry. He asked in the chat. I'm sure other people are curious as well. Again, the using video in the subject line is going to help your open rate. In fact, statistically, a 7 to a 13% increase in open rate. So they're going to open the email slightly more likely by using the word video. But using the word video does a massive increase in the click rate. So the clicking on the video or clicking through the next steps, because just like Kevin said, getting someone to open your email is not a win. Okay. Getting someone to engage with your content is the win. Swift. So what's in it for them? Good callback there.
And we'll be talking about that a little bit more as we keep going through.
We'll keep going through that. Okay. So 7-word subject lines. Okay. This is another tool in your toolbox. You're not going to be able to put every single one of these rules and best practices into every subject line. These are here as your guide. Okay. Your best practices. But Marketo found that subject lines containing 4 words received the highest open rates. Again, a 4-word subject line generated the highest open rates at about 18%. However, the highest click-through rate, again, getting them to engage, take the next step, not just open the email and delete it, but take a step, play the video, click on the link, reply, all of that, actually happened with 7-word subject lines. So if you're really, really into data and you think that data is going to save your email marketing, a 7-word subject line statistically is going to give you the highest click-through rate. Okay.
I think one of the important things, and this is kind of your next bullet point as well, Alicia, is what you're noticing is that none of these are very long, right? None of these things we're talking about are very long subject lines. If 7 or 8 words is the longest subject line we're doing. And it's interesting to think about why. Why is that important? Well, one, we need to get to it quickly, but this is also a huge factor in that as well, right?
Yep.
How many, I think it's like 40% or more emails are checked on mobile devices. And how big is this screen? It's not very big, right? Only a certain number of words can actually fit on that screen. So if your most intriguing part is 9 words deep in your subject line, they don't even see it. Exactly. So we've really lost that opportunity. And that kind of feeds into this 43 characters, right? Yeah. Max for mobile viewing. I just think that's a really important piece to think. It's important for us to grab people's attention quickly, but also just from a technical standpoint, we won't see it if it gets any longer than that.
Totally. Exactly. And paying attention to where people are opening things really matters. So for mobile devices, like he just said, 43 characters is approximately the max. Okay. So that means 43 letters, emojis, your, punctuation, whatever it is. Okay. On mobile, that's about the max of what they can see. So 7 words, 43 characters, that's kind of your length guideline there, okay? Number 5 in best practices, use numbers. This is a great psychological strategy for getting people to open up your emails. There's tons of data on this, but a simple subject line like 5 tips for keeping your power bill low this season, right? Those numbers, or 3 quick things before our appointment tomorrow. That's another one that I like for an appointment confirmation. And you'll hear us talk about that in the video piece as well, but use numbers, okay? Curiosity. How can you use those 7 to 9 words to pique their curiosity? What do you know that they don't know? For example, mortgage rates dropped 0.75%. What does this mean for you? Right? That's piquing someone's curiosity. Great way to draw someone in.
You know what I love about the curiosity one too, is this is a great way to tease up your value and to tease up you as a trusted advisor. Most of the time, you're not going to pique curiosity on something you cannot answer. Please don't. Let me just put that caveat in there. Don't put it out there if you don't have a solution for that in the email. But it's a great way to just tease up, hey, here's where I have some expertise for you, and really just, literally put the ball on the tee, to that metaphor.
Yep. All right. So number 7 in our best practices is you can use emojis. There's actually a lot of data that shows that emojis can help. However, emojis are not the end all be all. Okay. Don't use too many emojis in there. Okay. So you want to make sure that they're really relevant to what it is. For example, I pulled this one just from my inbox. Okay. The hustle, they sent me one, Google's got competition, and they put the sweating, the panicked emoji, right? It's super relevant. They didn't overdo it. It's kind of funny. It definitely catches attention. Again, that subject line real estate is all about piquing interest, catching attention, drawing them in to actually open it up. So use emojis, just don't go crazy with them.
Well, and there's such a great way to disrupt the inbox, right? And grab that visual attention, like you were saying. One way that I've actually had somebody talk to me about this too, if you're feeling like I sort of am kind of interested in emojis, but they feel a little bit high schooly or whatever, is there are different levels of emojis. Maybe you're not going to come in with the poop one first and foremost, right? That doesn't feel professional to you, but there are numbers, there are arrows, there are different things like that you might be able to use a little bit more effectively, that feel more professional and in your realm than jumping in with the salsa dancer or, something like that. Yeah. So feel like you can dip your toe in using emojis and finding the ones that feel a little bit more professional to you versus jumping in with the silly, goofy ones right away. There's ways to kind of learn and think about your recipients. What is your market? What are you segmenting to? What is their demographic? How might they respond to those sort of things as well?
Yep. Couple great questions in here. Carrie, I want to be really clear. This is not about the body of your email. We're just talking about subject lines right now. We're working our way from the top of an email all the way through to make sure that your videos are getting played. So that 43 characters is for subject line on mobile. Kristen asked about emojis in Outlook. Emojipedia Emogipedia. I believe it's just emojipedia.com. Gives you an option that you can pull up all the emojis and you can just copy and paste. I use that for subject lines, is Emojipedia. So you could definitely use that. Dorothy wanted to know, does this increase the percentage of emails that will be quarantined? Using an emoji in your subject line is not going to increase the likelihood that you will be sent to spam. There are other things that will. Excessive punctuation, all caps. We're going to get to that. There's certain words that will trigger that.
Well, and if you have all emojis, if that's all that's in the subject line, right, you're trying to be super cute, that will 100% flag it. But if you use it as an element of the subject line, it shouldn't.
Yep. Use humor in your subject lines. Again, the goal is to get their attention. So use humor. Again, you want to be sensitive and appropriate. I showed you that one that I didn't think was funny. I thought it was over the line. So obviously you want to make sure that your humor is tasteful and relevant to your business. But Groupon, they did a great job on this one. Groupon, deals that make us proud, unlike our nephew Steve. Right?
That made me laugh so hard when I saw that. That's Poor hilarious.
Steve.
Yeah. Poor Steve. What did Steve do? There's a good question as we keep going through these last couple as well that David put in the Q&A about what are your feelings of hey versus dear or something more professional. Hey sounds a little high schoolish to me is what he wrote. And I think this is really important to consider two things. One, who are you sending to and knowing them and how they interact? And two, what is your voice? How do you want to come across? For me, saying dear Alicia feels very foreign. Right? That feels very not me. I like to have a very casual tone with all of the emails that I write. I like them to be very conversational. And I would never walk up to somebody and be like, hey, dear John, how are you doing today? That's not me. So I think there's no right or wrong to answering those, but it's understanding what is my voice? How do I want to come across? How am I comfortable writing? And also, who am I sending to? What is the segment of people? Maybe you segment by age. And you decide, okay, anybody over 50, I'm going to write this and I'm going to write dear. Anybody under 30, I might write hey, right? You can do that. That can be part of how you use that verbiage within your segmenting to be as effective as possible and get those opens.
Well, and I think there's something to be said for using your own voice in your writing. You really said that, but when we first started sending business emails, they were all very, very formal. But for the most part now, when we see a really formal email like that, even in the business context, most of us assume it was written by a copywriter, not by a person. And so using a human voice really a good copywriter uses a really human voice, right? Mm-hmm. But okay, so we're going to keep on moving on these. We've got, I think, 3 more in our subject line Bible here. Okay. Number 9, avoid shouting, all caps. This is something that will flag you as spam. So your subject line being in all caps is not a great way to differentiate yourself and catch people's attention. It's annoying. We've all kind of accepted that all caps is like shouting at this point. But most importantly, it can flag you as spam if you're doing that in a subject line. Okay.
One other element to this as well is thinking about punctuation. You don't want to throw 15 exclamation points in a subject line either, or even a lot, right? If you want 1, maybe that works for whatever you're trying to get across, but be careful with how that's read because you do hear somebody's voice when you read text, and those things are massively going to affect that. So really keep that in mind in avoiding shouting.
Eddie, 1 word in caps is going to be fine for emphasis. The important thing is the all caps or excessive punctuation. Okay. Number 10, you want to avoid clickbait words like free or, some of the urgency ones, like those really, free is the biggest one that came up when I was doing my research, that email filters can flag it as spam. So you just want to be really careful. That's not to say you can never use the word free, but you want to try and avoid using real of those clickbaity words. And you can do a quick Google search, right? You can do like I did a lot of research on subject lines from lots of different places, and most places say the same thing. But there were resources that I looked at that had entire lists of words that you shouldn't use or words that you should use. So there is definitely options out there. Okay. The very last one of our subject line best practices is don't use shock and awe or mislead your audience just to get an open, right? Deliver on what you promise. If you say that there's something in the email, make sure it's in there. Don't do things controversial just to try and get the open like this one. You really, really could disenfranchise some of your audience. And you know, the whole point here is to help people feel more connected to you and have them engaging with you. You don't want the engagement to be, hey, that email was offensive, right? That's not the kind of engagement you want.
One of the hard things with trust, and we all know how important trust is into building business relationships, it's really hard to build and really easy to lose. Yeah. And these kind of things, like for me personally, reading that email line, that's something that immediately makes me go, is this a company I want to work with? Yeah. If you're that out of tune with what's going on and how people can assume that, and I'm not judging this company at all. Maybe they're a great company. And if you've received lots of emails from them that you've liked, and this is one kind of black mark, that's one thing. If this is my first experience with you, I'm going to go, I'm not going to waste my time. Yep, right. So just keep that in mind when you're going, how far should I push the envelope? Maybe think about how well do these people know me? Yep. How much grace might I get if this doesn't land? And honestly, I usually get to the point of if there's any question of this landing or not, I'm probably not going to do it. Right. I don't want to go down that road and kind of create some of that stuff.
I'm going to do a real quick recap on the 11 best practices because people are asking for it. Take a picture of your screen if you want while I recap. Great way to have it accessible for you. Number 1, personalize. Number 2, use video in the subject line. Number 3, 7-word subject lines are going to get you the highest click-through rate statistically. Number 4, 43 characters is approximately max visible on mobile viewing. Number 5, use numbers to get people's attention. 5 tips for keeping your power bill low this season. Number 6, pique their curiosity. Mortgage rates drop. What does this mean for you? Number 7, emojis. Okay, make it relevant. Don't overuse them. 8, humor. It can work to your advantage, brighten someone's day. Number 9, avoid shouting. All caps can flag you as spam. Number 10, try and avoid clickbait words like free. And number 11, don't use shock and awe. Deliver on what you promise is in there. Okay. I told you that I was going to show you our data and give you some examples of using video and personalize and relevance in the subject line. Our data shows about approximately what we saw in the data, that video in the subject line was an 8.3% higher open rate. So you get a little bit of lift in open, but the real win is in that click rate, a 32.8% higher play rate or click rate on the video for putting video in the subject line. I have about 10,000 videos in my Bombbomb account that I've sent one-to-one. Almost all of them say video for the person's name and then what that relevant information is. I'm not sending out marketing emails, right? I don't have to come up with clever subject lines for campaigns. We have other people that do that. But when you're sending one-to-one, video for the person's name and the relevant information is a good practice. It's what I do. You don't have to do it, but it's what a lot of us here do. You're combining a handful of those elements in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I've even sometimes, every once in a while, I'll actually put video in parentheses at the beginning of my subject line, just because I think it visually grabs attention when you're looking through a bunch of things. I'll just put video, Alicia, and then what the subject line is. So we get those same idea, right? Just kind of different format of that. So yeah, let's run through this. I know people are really anxious, and sorry if we are missing all of the questions here. Obviously, there's a lot of content that we're getting through this morning.
It's meaty.
We will send you a recording, I promise. I also put in the chat, we're going to send this deck as well. We'll send it to you in a PDF file so you can look through a lot of this content again.
Yes.
So don't feel stressed if you miss a line or two here or there. We'll give you a lot to be able to review that on as well. So yeah, jump through this. I think this is really interesting to think about. How do we use the email itself to drive that video play?
Well, and if you think about what we're doing today, we're talking about how to get your videos played. And so we're working with all of these things in the anatomy, right? We started with the subject line, okay? So we talked about that subject line, how to pique their interest. Now, the next piece in a video email, in a good video email, is text above the video. This is really, really important. We've talked about this lots of times, but I want to be clear about this again for a few things, okay? Number one, some inboxes after the subject line, they pull an inbox preview, right? So they have subject line, and then it'll pull the first line of text. Like we saw that on the "you're missing sales under your nose." Hey, Rebecca. And then it had a few lines of text there, okay? If you do not put any words above your video and their inbox is going to pull an inbox preview, what it's going to pull is code. So you'll have your subject line and then jumbly characters afterwards, okay? So this is the first reason why you always want to make sure that you do have text above the video. But also the text above the video there is to greet them and to drive the video play. I found this, I'm going to read this from an article that I found on providing context for the video, okay? It says, provide context for the video. The best way to improve play rate is to position videos in such a way that viewers have a clear understanding of the content. Maybe provide a leading in paragraph or referencing the video's utility. This is according to Andrew McLaughlin from Calabri's Digital Marketing. And this is a really important part, what he says, okay? People are bombarded by videos all the time, usually without any sort of introduction. And it's almost just a reflex to pause them or disable them at this point. By making them voluntary, keeping them unobtrusive, and making sure a viewer knows what to expect, you can dramatically improve your play rate. Now, it's not going to autoplay. We already do that for you. It's not intrusive. They're not going to open their email and suddenly be like, why is this person talking to me? They have to press play. But letting them know what they're going to find in that video, setting up the context, is the best thing that you can do to improve your video play rate. You all came to this webinar because we're talking about how to get your videos played. Setting up the context of what they're going to find in the video is one of the best things that you can do to improve your play rate. So that text right above the video, hey, Kevin, thanks so much for your time today. Press play on the video for a follow-up to your question, right?
Think about an email. One of the metaphors I like to use in this is I like to think about an email like a book when you go to a bookstore, right? What makes you actually grab one book off the shelves over another? It's the title, it's the cover. That's our subject line, right? That's our first opportunity. Then we open it and start reading through some of these things. This first piece of text is like our first chapter, our introduction. If that's not interesting and engaging, they're not going to go to chapter 2. It's just not going to happen. So we have to inform people and tell people, why should they click play on the video? Why is this video worth their time? Because their time is valuable. Time is important to us.
Yep. So
make sure that you're working through. A lot of these things work in succession. The video is not going to just be an automatic, oh, there's a video, cool, click play. I saw a stat the other day that they expect in 2023, 80% of internet traffic to be video.
Yeah.
80%. That's insane. Right? And I'm guilty of it. I mean, all of the social media platforms are going to video because it is effective, but we have to understand that there is a lot of that now. So how do we give them the reasoning why it's important to click play?
Yep. Real important. Okay. So then the next thing they see is the video thumbnail. And the next section, we're going to talk about video thumbnails right after this. So if you're waiting to hear thumbnails, we're talking about video thumbnails first. But so we've got subject line, you've got your text above the video telling them what they're going to find in the video. Then you have your big video thumbnail right there in the middle of the email so that they can see a smiling human face. Then you have text below the video. This is really important again, okay? If you're watching your phone, if you're distracted, if you're not looking at the screen, I need you to watch my screen because I want you to understand what can happen if you don't put text below your video, okay? If you do not put a line of text under your video, it could just be as simple as thank you or peace out or have a good day. If you don't put text under your video, there is a chance that the inbox provider will do this to your email. They've truncated your message. They can't see the video thumbnail anymore. You told them in that opening line to press play on the video, but now they don't see a video. I have been guilty of this before where I've sent someone and they're like, I don't see the video, Alicia. Well, because the message got truncated, okay? As long as you put a line of text under that video, it's not going to truncate it. They'll be able to see the video thumbnail. Your signature line doesn't count, okay? You need to just put a line of text under there, okay? Quite often, that can be your call to action. We'll talk about video calls to action as well, but a great place underneath that video, reply to this email, click this link to schedule time on my calendar. Great place for that call to action. Okay. So we worked from the top to the bottom. This is what it looks like in the real world. This is an actual good quality video email, right? Video. Hi, Jana. Thanks for reaching out. We've got personalization. We've got video. We've got relevance. We've got good morning. I appreciate you following up after our meeting today. Please see this quick video with answers to your questions. Right? We know it's in there. You've got the smiling human face. If you have any additional questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to help. Okay. This is a really good video email. This is what your video emails should look like.
And it's such a great example of it doesn't have to be complex. There's nothing complex or overwhelming about this email. It feels like a lot when we're talking about these concepts. This is a great snapshot of one sentence, two sentences, and you get your point across. You get the things you need. So I love that. I love that you pulled that one, Alicia.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's get into the video, getting it played with that thumbnail as well as keeping them engaged. Okay. So you have two things going for you on the video that will help people play the video. Okay. The very first thing is that timestamp. Right? We put a timestamp on the bottom of the video that lets you know how long the video is. Okay. So there's a general kind of formula for how long your video could be, because people always want to know how long should my videos should be. How long do my videos need to be, Alicia? And it depends. So the formula is like the personalization, right? Plus value divided by the depth of the relationship. For example, if Kevin is a new lead, right? I'm a lender. I hear that Kevin is shopping around for a mortgage. Kevin doesn't know who I am at all. So I can make a really personal video and have it real full of value. But if that video timestamp says play 4-minute video, yeah, it's personal, but Kevin doesn't really know me. So the depth of the relationship is kind of going to override the personalization and the value there, because he doesn't know me. He doesn't want to play a 4-minute video, right? Whereas if I'm the same lender and I'm working with Kevin and he's asked me a very specific question about what something means, and I am explaining it and it takes 4 minutes, well, the depth of the relationship is greater now, because like he's actually asked for this value. He knows who I am. You can get away with a 4-minute video. Okay. So the less relationship you have with the person, the less personalized it is, the less value is in that video. It's got to be shorter. Okay. Like for example, appointment confirmation. This is a great video. We teach you to do appointment confirmations all the time. There's not a lot of value in it though, for the person, right? Like the value is confirming the appointment. So that video should be like 30 seconds long. No one wants to watch a 1.5-minute video talking about the appointment we're going to have tomorrow, right? 20 seconds to say, just want to confirm we're good, time and date below, right? So you got to really think about that. Anything you want to add on there, Kevin?
No, I was just thinking from a recipient's perspective, if you put yourself in their shoes and you see somebody you've never met before and it says 4-minute video, what's your natural response going to be? I don't have 4 minutes.
Video.
But if I see somebody I don't know and it says a 1-minute video or a 45-second video, I've pretty much got 45 seconds for almost anybody, right? I'm willing to give that a shot. So and I'm a total empath. I always think from the other person's perspective. That's just where my personality goes. But if you think about that, it really makes sense when you can get as complex into it as you want. But yeah, I might click play on a 30-second video. There's no way I'm clicking play on a 5-minute video. It's just not going to happen, right?
Yep,
so it's
exactly.
As simple as that, I think, when we break it down.
Yeah. So we're going to teach you the tuned method for your thumbnails. This is what we teach here. It's an acronym because that's the second thing you have going for you, right? A really compelling thumbnail can even maybe override the fact that they don't really know you, or it's maybe a 2-minute video. I don't know if a really good thumbnail can overcome a 5-minute video from a stranger, but you never know. So let's take a look at this tuned method. Okay. So the first letter in the acronym for tuned stands for team. Okay. Bring your team into the video. Not only does it make a more compelling thumbnail, but also the principles of reciprocity are at place here. If you've taken the time to record a video and you've brought multiple people into it, it probably means that it's more important. And psychologically, people are just more likely to do that. You see in this first example, this is an internal video. We've got 2 team members introducing themselves to someone else. They did it over Zoom. They did a quick split screen and then uploaded it into Bombbomb so that they could send a split screen video like that. But it's really compelling. The second one, this is a client video, and this is them just having fun, right? They were celebrating something. All of these thumbnails in the tuned method are just ways to help you get attention and get them to click the play. Okay. So bring your team into it, get more people involved.
Also, per Justin's video at the top, if you have a baby, always have it in your video. just always. Babies and pets. I tell you what, those things will get people to watch your videos more than you would think. But I love this bottom one. I don't even know what it is, and now I want to go look for it because they look
exactly
like that's what's engaging about it.
Yep. Okay, so team, your second is unexpected. Okay, this can be a really, really great way to get the video play. All right. This top one, I love this. So Chris Brown is a lender. Okay. This video here where he's eating and pretends that he's surprised that there's a camera there. This is an autoresponder. He uses this video over and over and over and over again, and he gets insane play rates on it because no one expects a lender to send them this video, right? As if he's surprised that the camera was there. So really, really great way. Unexpected. These are 2 of our sales guys here. They had been at an event and they sent this as the follow-up email because they were at an event, I think in San Diego, came back to Colorado. There was snow on the ground. They thought this would be funny in the follow-up email. It worked. They had about a 56% play rate or open rate on that email because it was unexpected. No one expects to see the 2 sales guys that they've been talking to all week standing in the snow in shorts. Okay. Name. You hear us teach this a lot. Use the whiteboard, or I saw people in the chat talking about an app that they can use to use someone's name. Okay. I put name plus because you can just use their name, but also it's a great way to capture their attention as well as put some more information in there. So this first one here, I've got a great story. So Michelle actually sent this to an inbound lead that went dark. Okay. He had opened 3 of her last emails, but never even responded to any of them. And so she sent this one, this Heath, you alive? Right? It's kind of humorous. It's personal. It's unexpected. He watched that video 6 times, responded with a video, and converted to a customer in 7 days. So really great way to use that name as well as a little something extra, right? The Heath, you alive? It was the you alive that got his attention. He referenced it in the video. He thought it was hilarious. Okay. Same one on the bottom, right? Ethan's got fun fact for you, Eric. So he's using the person's name, but as well as giving them a little bit more information, teasing, getting that curiosity. Okay.
I think there's also an important thing we can talk about on this. If you're sending to more than one person, you can still personalize. Find something that is connective between you and this group of people. Again, segmenting, right? Alicia, you go and do trade shows, or you do shows all the time that you're out at conventions and things, right? If you write something that says, hey, Remax R4, and they were at Remax R4, now there's that personalization. Yep. There's that connection of why is she reaching out to me? You can still find that on a broader basis if it's not just a one-to-one email. Yep. So it's really important to always consider this. What are they going to see that they will know that I have a connection directly to them?
Yeah. Someone asked if we could play the videos. There are no videos in this session today at all, just GIFs. And I'm going to keep moving because we're running slow on time and I really want to cover some last things here, but we're going to keep on trucking. Okay. So name, the next letter in your tuned acronym is emotion. Okay. You can really use emotion to get people to open, good and bad. This top one was, Michelle was announcing a winner for a giveaway we did, exciting. Who's not going to open that? this bottom one, this is a great story.
So
Kyle
good.
is no longer with us. He's still alive. Okay. He just doesn't work at Bombbomb. And I also want to be clear that the reason why Kyle doesn't work at Bombbomb isn't because of what happened here.
No.
He found another job and we love Kyle. But what happened here is that Kyle used to work on the marketing team here at Bombbomb. And he accidentally sent out an email to our entire client base with Steve Passanelli, our CMO's personal cell phone number in it. And so after Kyle did that and he realized what he had done, he had to send a video to Steve explaining and apologizing. And this was the gift that started off that video. So emotion, right? Emotion is a great way to help capture their attention. Detail. This is the D in tuned. Oh, they went away here. So there's lots of different ways that you can pick out a detail to really capture someone's attention. This top one is Shane, one of our sales guys, actually using our screen recorder on someone's LinkedIn profile. We see a lot of salespeople, both our salespeople as well as in other companies using this for prospecting. Okay. If I'm being prospected by someone and I open up an email and I see my LinkedIn page or my website, that's a detail that's really specific to me that's going to make me want to play that video, right? That stands out to me. Like, why is Shane on my LinkedIn page, right? So detail. This second one, Michelle was using someone's words. These were words that they used in a webinar that she watched and she wanted to connect with them. And so this is a detail that would have really stood out to that person. It wouldn't stand out to anyone else, but that's a detail that for that person, they're like, oh, she's quoting my words back to me.
I'm just learning that Michelle is like the queen of animated previews right now.
Oh,
she is so good at them.
I asked her to send me some of her best. She sent me a ton of them. You're only seeing a few of them.
These are amazing. These are awesome.
Yeah. Okay. And then this last one is a bonus. Okay. So the acronym is tuned, but think about your surroundings, because this is another really, really great way to capture some attention. Okay. So in both of these cases here, this top one, this is me back when I had short black hair. We were at a real estate event and we were packing up our stuff, and this was a follow-up video. Everyone that was there at that event that saw us, that's familiar to them. That surrounding was like, oh yeah, we just saw her there. So they're much more likely to play it. This bottom one, this walking and talking with Steve on an escalator. The walking and talking or the videos in a different than normal environment have really, really high play rates. Okay. And I tested this out on y'all this month. So the video that I sent, or that we sent, inviting you all to register for this webinar, I recorded on my mobile as a walking and talking instead of my usual webcam video. Okay. I did this hoping that the numbers would show, and they did. Okay. So, our play rates on May's deep dive video was 625 plays. Okay. The play rate on our June deep dive was 582 plays. The play rate on this month's deep dive that I did a walking and talking, not in front of my computer, had 1,100 plays. So over double play rate just from me not being in my office where you guys see me all the time. So really, really effective way to get that play rate is to be outside of your normal environment, be somewhere else, or do the walking and talking.
One quick note on this, and I love this bonus one that you've had on here, so we could be like tunes to add that S on there, is do not try to do all of these, right? I've had people ask me like, how am I going to do all of that in one? No, these are 5 different ideas you can think about to get that engagement. So don't feel overwhelmed of, I've got to have my team members and it's got to be different and I've got to get their names in it. That would just feel very overwhelming and potentially be a hindrance to you recording your video. Pick one of these and focus on it, or maybe 2 if you really want to go out on a limb. These are all different ideas to continue to get you engaged on this sort of stuff. So,
guys, we're going to go over today, and I'm just letting you know, if you have to go, I understand. We're going to send the recording. I'm going to try and work through the last bit of this content, but I really want to make sure I get this to you guys. So we're going to power through here. Okay. Now we're going to get into the keep them watching, okay? Because they've clicked play on your video. You had a great subject line. You opened your email properly. They pressed play on the video because of your thumbnail and your opening line. But now you want to keep them watching, okay? So I'm going to give you guys some best practices for really keeping people engaged with your video, okay? The first thing I want you to understand is that 70 to 80% watch rate is considered good on a mass send, okay? Context is different, one-to-one. If I send a video to Kevin and I'm answering a question that he asked and he only watches 70%, that's not very good because I obviously was not doing a good job answering his question that he gave up, okay? However, on like a mass send that you're sending out to hundreds of people, 70 to 80% that they watched 80% of the video is actually pretty good. Okay. You're going to have some people that watch all of it. You're going to have some people that only watch 15 or 20%. But if you're looking at that average length watched and it's the 70 to 80% watch rate on a mass send, that's good. Your one-to-ones should have a higher fuller completion rate. Okay. If they don't, then your videos are too long. Okay. Number two, you saw this with subject lines. The same applies to get people to keep watching a video. This is true if this video is going to your database. It's true if this video is on Facebook or YouTube or anything. Make it a list, okay? Psychologically, if you start a video with a list, people are going to finish the video because their brain needs to finish the list. So if you start a video and say, what's up in this video? I'm going to share with you 5 ways to save money on your heating bill this month. And I start banging through those numbers. If I get through 1, 2, and 3 really fast and take a little more time on 4 and 5, they're still going to watch the whole video because psychologically they want to. Okay. So start your video that way, like 3 things that I want to share with you about what's happening in the current market, right? Make it a list. This is a great way to keep them watching for the entire video. Third, build anticipation, right? At the end of this video, I'm going to tell you how you can get a free something or other, or later on in this video, I'm going to make sure that I, promise what I delivered at whatever it is, but build that anticipation for the end of the video. Okay. Number 4, ask a question at the beginning of the video, right? Have you ever wondered if you really need that extra auto insurance at the car rental counter? And then the rest of your video, you can go into explaining that, right? If you start the video with talking about the extra car insurance, you may not have them hooked, but if you start with that, have you ever wondered? Well, everyone that's wondered is going to stick around for the video, okay? Story cues. This is a really great way, especially if it's a little bit of a longer video and you really want to get some value in there. Setting it up with a story, we're storyborn people, okay? We love it. So if you start out with something like, the other day, a client was telling me about how frustrating it's been to try and buy a house in this market. Right? If you start with a story, they're much more likely to stay engaged. Okay. Number 6 in best practices for keeping them watching is captions and transcriptions. We are aware that not everyone at Bombbomb has access to this. If you're on our BBE product, our most basic level, you don't have captions and transcriptions. If you upgrade, you can have them. But for those of you that do have captions and transcriptions, this is a great way to keep people engaged with your video by either letting them know to turn on the captions, or when they press play on the video, that transcription, they have an option to click for that entire transcription. If you are sending a value loaded video with lots of content and you want to make sure that people stay engaged, train them to click on the transcription, because then they can see what's coming up in the video, and they can even click to the place where they want it.
I think this is such a great point, is that we have these tools and these features. In fact, I just saw that, Michelle, you posted some information about transcriptions and captions and things. So there's a link in chat if you guys want to look deeper into those. But we build a lot of neat features and tools to help you with this problem of getting people to watch your video. One that I've started using a lot that you actually didn't name on this is the being able to play a video at 1.5 times or double speed. for the recipient. I will actually reference that sometimes if I have a longer video. If I know this video is going to be 4 or 5 minutes, at the beginning of that video, I'll say, hey, go ahead. There's actually an option. You can watch this at 1.5 times speed just because I want to be conscious of your time.
Yeah.
Consider the other person. It's better for me to have them watch and retain all of that information at a quicker speed than not watch it because it's getting too long. So use some of these things, some of these features, and some of those pieces that we keep adding in. They will really, really help you with continuing to get that engagement.
Yep. All right. Your last tip on the keeping them watching is always lead with value. If it's chock full of value, they're going to keep watching. Value can come in lots of ways. Value doesn't just have to be educating your clients. Okay. Entertaining counts as value. If you've got like a funny video to send to your people, that counts as value. Empathy, right? We all love watching those Super Bowl commercials that make us cry and tug at our heartstrings. This is another great way to provide value to your clients. Connection. If the goal of that video is to actually connect, that's a ton of value in there as well. So make sure that you're leading with value, either entertainment, education, empathy, or connection. All right, we're wrapping it up here, okay? The last most important piece is to get them engaged. Just because they opened your email and played your video, your job doesn't stop there. The goal of all of this is to keep people connected to you. And so the best way to keep them connected to you is to draw them in. At the end of your video, ask a question or invite them into the conversation. This is both going to help increase that engagement so they feel more connected to you. But the more people reply to your emails, the better your deliverability is. So if at the end of the video, you ask a question and inviting people into replying to whatever that is, like, have you tried any new restaurants in town? Let me know. Me and my family are trying to, visit all the best spots this summer. If you're inviting them into a conversation, they're going to respond to that. So end your video with the question or the CTA. We've hit this a couple times, but you want to make sure that you're really being human-centered, right? Just because someone gave you permission to send them email, you should not be sending every single week in perpetuity, right? Be respectful of their inbox. Understand that there's a human on the other side of there. Be consistent, but don't, overboard. Be really respectful of your lists. If someone gave you permission to send them real estate content, that doesn't mean that you can also, send them chain letters, right? Like, I don't know.
I was curious where you were going to go with that.
I'll never forget the time I had a parent who was like a parent at my kid's school that had like the parent email list, use it to send personal stuff about their business. I was like, you're the room parent. That's weird, right? Very last thing, you need to follow up with your most engaged people. If you've sent a video out to your entire list of people and you sent that to 350 people and there was people that were really, really engaged, I said your 10 most engaged recipients, but the people that played your video, watched it all the way through, watched it a second time, you should be following them up with more personal contact, either the phone or send them a personal video, because the whole goal is to help people be more connected to you, not just, oh, they played my video. So you want to make sure that you really follow up with people. We went way over, and I don't know if you have to go, Kevin. I can stick around and answer questions. I don't know if you can stick around. We still have 480 people here that stayed, so they might be really wanting their questions answered. But if you have to go before we answer the questions, here's your homework, okay? Did you send a trusted advisor video last month? We spent an entire session teaching you how to be a trusted advisor. So if you didn't do that last month, do it this month. But follow these best practices, right? Think about who you're sending it to. Craft a subject line that's personal and curious. Have a fun, engaging thumbnail. Use some of these tactics. And if you did send a trusted advisor video last month to your list, try something new. Send a funny one or try something with empathy. But make sure that you're putting these into place, okay? Don't just say that was a great webinar, Alicia, Kevin, and get on with your day, and don't take the next step to actually put it into practice, okay? I'm going to start looking at some of these questions.
That's great. I've actually been kind of reviewing a couple of them. So why don't you take a second, catch your breath, because you've been covering these last couple of slides here. So one of the questions David just put in a minute ago was, are there folks at Bombbomb that can help us get up and running with videos? I'm very green with this technology. So really that is dependent on how you've actually signed up. But I want to show you some and talk to you about some resources that we have here that everybody, no matter what, has access to. And one of them, actually, I just pulled the link for this because it's really pertinent to what we're talking about today. If you have a Bombbomb account, you have access to what's called the Bombbomb Academy, which is an on-demand learning system. And teaser alert, there's going to be some really cool new things coming to that in the next few months here. But there are currently 2 courses. There's a couple of courses, but 2 that are pertinent based on what we've been talking about today here is email engagement and video engagement. How do I get better engagement? Now you'll see some of it is going to be really consistent to the information we talked about today. And there might be some newer things on there, but that's a resource that you can use to go on and just learn and absorb new information and continue to grow with your video use. There's also a great resource here. And Michelle or Tara, if one of you guys wants to pull, it's our resource hub. And our resource hub is basically our page that it just compiles all of our resources into one place. We've got goal-based content. We've got our blog. We've got our webinars. Did you know we actually have a podcast that Ethan Butte, our chief evangelist, hosts? However you like to retain and learn this information, you have access to it. The last one that I'll show you that's also on the resource hub as well is our knowledge base. Our knowledge base is huge. It is a massive, massive thing where you can go in and search, what do you want to learn? One of the things I've seen coming up a handful of times with people in the chat here is, oh my gosh, you guys have a screen recorder. I didn't even know that was there. Can we do something about that? Can we learn that? The knowledge base is a great place for you to go and just search screen recorder. And you're going to have to see my face a lot on there, unfortunately, but you'll see a great article if you like to read the steps, or I record videos for a large amount of those articles to walk you through what you should expect in using this, in getting it set up. So really, that was a long answer to your question, David, but there are tons of resources. One of the things we really pride ourselves in is making sure that we have content out there for you to be able to learn this content. We do host these webinars every month about different strategies. Some are more technical, some are more just higher level concepts and things like that. We try to really have those be well-rounded, but we want to be there for you to support that in you and your journey in learning these things. So take a look at some of those links that we put in the chat there, whether it's the Academy, the Resource Hub, bombbomb.com/webinars. I think you'll even find that. That's all the replays of the past webinars we've hosted, or you can sign up for future webinars. There's a lot of stuff out there when it comes to that. So just know that all of these resources are built there to help you become more comfortable as you're kind of walking through all this sort of stuff. Did you see any questions that stood out to you specifically there, Alicia?
I'll answer a couple of these in case people are hanging on, waiting for them. David wanted to know, how do we pick which email to send from to get them delivered? This is a great question. I think number one, if you're unsure if one of your email addresses has like black marks against it, you can actually, our support team can help you with that. Or there's also free sites that you can use to search kind of like what your rating is. But most importantly, you should be sending from the email address your clients are used to hearing you from. Okay, that is the email address you should send from, the one that they're used to hearing from you at. Okay. Crystal Lynn asked, what do you think has worked well for Bombbomb to get 500 plus attendees to show up to your webinar? That's a really meaty question, Kristen, but I will tell you consistency. We deliver on content, on value. Like Kevin and I, that's our top priority, right? Is making sure that it's really valuable and not just a sales pitch. If you showed up to these customer webinars, very rarely are we ever talking about product or buying things. I think this is where a lot of companies get it wrong, Crystalline, is that they invite people to webinars and sell them, and we focus on education and value. That's my opinion. There's more that our marketing team does, but I think the consistency that every single month they know that we're sending the email inviting them, and every single month they know they're getting value. So that's probably my best thoughts there.
Yeah, I think that's really good thoughts. Those were kind of similar to mine too. Mike asked one, Alicia says, is it good to plan to have generic videos to save time? Or is it best to be more individualized so that you can use their name and have it more personal? And this is a great question. And you're going to hate me a little bit, Mike, if you're still here. There's not a right or wrong. I honestly use both of these for very different situations. If you can do individual personalized videos 100% of the time, do it. Those will get you better results. They will be more effective. The more we can personalize and be very specific to each individual person, really the better. It's almost like going and having a one-to-one conversation with somebody versus watching a public speaker, right? You're going to see a public speaker and you're going to pick up some notes from that and some things that are really beneficial. But when I can ask really specific and be, segmented with that, it's always more beneficial. However, flip side of that is, realistically, are we going to have time to do a personalized video every single time? That's hard. That's hard with all of the other pulls and pressures that you have to keep your business running. So don't put that pressure on yourself, because it's probably going to be unachievable. And then we don't want to have a negative feeling about this. So my kind of rule of thumb is that I look for some of those very frequent times that I like to use video, and I record an evergreen video or more of a generic video for that. And I have it saved in my account. That way, when that situation comes up, we'll use new lead as an example, right? If you're a salesperson and a new lead comes in, I have my generic new lead video, and then I can evaluate, do I have time to do a personalized video or not? In that moment, I can then grab the evergreen one, or I can personalize it. But either way, that trigger has made me think video, and then I get to pick and choose what I need to do with that. So it's good to have both. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I try to personalize as much as I possibly can, but man, I've got a lot of evergreen videos or generic videos that I've got saved so I can grab them and use them when needed. What is your kind of philosophy on that, Alicia? Is it any different?
Yeah, I think it's that if you look out over your day-to-day or your week and you think like, where are the instances that I'm sending video all the time where an evergreen could work? Then record those and have them at your fingertips. And then, it's case by case. So things like an appointment confirmation, it doesn't need to be personal unless there's, something unique there, but you can use an evergreen for that. Frequently asked questions, next steps in the process, a lead response, an automated lead response that goes out right away. Like those are all places where an evergreen video is going to be really effective, but it depends on the use case, just like you said, it's real specific to that. All right. We are 16 minutes over. We still got 338 people hanging out, but we're going to wrap this up.
Thank you for sticking with us, everybody. It really is. You have no idea how encouraging it is to know that we went this far over and you're still here absorbing this content. That's really wonderful.
I mean, it was meaty. We knew it was meaty. For those of you that have stuck around, thank you so much. We are going to send out the recap. You will have resources at your fingertips. We'll have this so that you can go back and reference it. Let us know how we can help. We're here to support you. As always, best part of my week, Kevin.
Yes. And thank you, Michelle and Tara, for being here, supporting, answering questions. Michelle, thank you for figuring out the chat issue that we had early on. You saved the day. And there she comes in with one of her strong animated previews there, right? We appreciate both of you immensely. We appreciate all of you for coming to these and signing up for these. Keep your eyes out for next month. We'll be doing it again. Bless you all. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We can't wait to talk with you again soon. If you still have questions that didn't get answered, you can email our support team, support@bombbomb.com. I saw a question in the chat. They were like, I have a quick question. Who can I ask? Support@bombbomb.com. Thank you guys. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.